Hello. Tonight, we welcome a very special guest, Senator Elizabeth Warren, to explain to us why we as a country should support the use of medical and recreational marijuana.
Hello.
Ms. Warren, it is truly a pleasure to meet you and to have you on our show tonight.
I know.
Okay. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the Senator of Massachusetts?
Well, I was born in Oklahoma City in Oklahoma, US of A. I was the youngest of 4 children, and I was actually the first to graduate from high school. I then went to college on a full ride scholarship, in a debate scholarship. I then graduated college and married my husband, Jim Warren, and then moved to New Jersey. I then got my JD and practiced law in the comfort of my own home. I was then divorced, remarried, and taught all around the country. I continued to study law, specifically bankruptcy. In 2008, I was on the Congressional Oversight Panel to monitor a bank bailout in 2010. I was officially appointed to be the assistant of the president. And then in 2012, I won my senatorial term in Massachusetts.
That is so interesting. Now, as we all know, you were elected for senator. What are some of the informal qualifications that you have that brought you to where you are now?
Well, I have a great deal of political experience. We need experienced people, otherwise nothing would get done. I also have a great reputation as a politician, a mother, and most importantly, a teacher. To be a politician, you need to be able to learn and teach to get things done. I'm also a hard worker. Being the youngest of 4, being the first to graduate college is a very hard thing to do, and I think that shows my determination. I am also a woman working in the political field, and I know the underrepresentation of women. And I think it is a great thing for a woman to hold the senatorial position in Massachusetts.
I think it is absolutely fascinating how far you've come, all while having to deal with the male bigotry in our political field. I think you are truly opening a door to younger females who are trying to pursue a career in politics and finally bump out the old, white, privileged, homophobic, and racist men with outdated morals and opinions.
That is the goal.
As a senator, you work on a couple of committees and subcommittees. Could you educate us on what they are and how they might affect your vote?
Certainly. I am on the Committee for Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs with the Subcommittee of Financial Institutions and Customer Protections. I am also on the Subcommission of the Economic Policy, which I'll be able to regulate the economic policy for marijuana dispensaries. I'm also on the Committee for Securities, Insurance, and Investment. On this committee, I would provide the idea of cannabis being a wonderful investment. I'm also on the Committee for Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. I'm on the Subcommittee of Employment, Workplace Safety, where I am the subcommittee to put on regulations on marijuana use in the workplace. The Subcommittee for Primary Health and Retirement Security. I'm also on the Special Committee for Aging, which enables me to support the medical use for elderly. I'm also on the Committee of Armed Services, and finally on the Airplane Personnel and Strategic Forces subcommittees.
Wow, you are quite involved.
What can I say? Why pay multiple men when one woman can do the job?
I know marijuana was already legalized in Massachusetts, but what were some of the state reasons for that bill passing?
Like I said, marijuana is a great investment, and it was a perfect opportunity to bring in some extra money into the state. And we also wanted to legalize it to recognize the fact that the marijuana system was already in Massachusetts, and decriminalizing it just made sense because it isn't a very harmful drug. It also increased public safety. People were going to strangers and to get their marijuana, and sometimes it would leave people in physical danger. Not to mention that these strangers could be tainting the marijuana they sell. So by giving a safe location where they could purchase regulated weed, we increased the safety. We also legalized to make those communities that were harshly infected by its illegality more equality for them. We also gave them a spot on the table to speak. We also legalized it to give some people from prison, where marijuana use was their only reason they were in prison, giving people their families back.
You seem very passionate about this bill passing for the legalization of marijuana. What are some other bills or acts that you've worked on that are kind of related to this bill?
I signed the Controlled Substance Act, which exempted illegal marijuana activity from federal inference and addressed banking access issued for the cannabis industry. I also signed the Careers Act to protect medical marijuana patients from federal enforcement efforts and to promote research. I then signed the Marijuana Justice Act, which removes marijuana from the CSA and direct federal courts to expunge criminal records from those previously convicted for marijuana. I also worked on the marijuana scheduling bill. I signed the stronger legislation that would require the Department for Veterans Affairs to study marijuana. Last year, I introduced bills that aimed at protecting military veterans and immigrants from being pushed for working at the state legal cannabis business. I also sponsored the Safe Banning Act in 2017 and 2019, and the Marijuana Business Access to Banking Act in 2015, aimed at providing banking access to cannabis businesses.
That is a lot of work. Now, who are your main supporters?
I received a 100% from the Human Rights Campaign. I mean, these aren't very relevant, but if marijuana is safe and affordable painkiller, then count me in. I also received a 100% from the League of Conservation Voters, and I'm not entirely sure how these are related, but let's just say I support all of Earth's greens. I also got an A from the NAIC Action. As this is a completely different subject, I won't be swayed whether they support me or not. I got an 86% on the American Civil Liberties Union, and as these people are focused on making this world a safer and equal place, they believe in the legalization of marijuana, although they are more focused on the civil rights in America. The National Association for the Reform of Marijuana Laws gave me a B. This one is rather self-explanatory. Let's just say we have a mutual agreement.
Sounds like you have plenty of supporters. Speaking which, how did your presidential campaign go this year?
Shut your mouth.
Well, that is all the time we have. Thank you very much, Senator Warren.
You are very, very welcome.
That is the conclusion of tonight's program. Now moving on to the weather.
It's snowing.
You sound rather passionate.
Hola. ¿Cómo estás?
Sense because it would leave people with